Chiefs Kingdom. I'm not even gonna lie, seeing these two stories back to back hit me like a punch to the chest because it tells you exactly where we are right now as a franchise. On one hand, the Chiefs are basically admitting the defensive line has to be rebuilt, like rehold, because the four-man pass rush has been one of the worst in the league the last 2 seasons, and Chris Jones is turning 32. And with a top 10 pick sitting right there, it feels like this is the moment where Brett Veach has to choose a direction. But at the same time, we're also hearing trade buzz about skill guys like Jordan Addison and David Montgomery, and when you combine that with the reality that we're still around minus $54 million in cap space, it's like, okay, are we rebuilding the trenches, or are we trying to steal a weapon at value without blowing up the cap? I'm Victor, this is Chiefs Nation Update, and before we get into it, hit like and subscribe so we can push toward 1,100 subscribers. Because the way the Chiefs handle this next stretch, the D-line decisions, the draft at number 9, and whether they make a smart trade move, could shape what this team looks like when Mahomes comes back. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, let's lock in on the defensive line, because if there's one area where this team is basically screaming for change right now, it's up front on defense. As someone who's watched every snap the last couple of seasons, this part hurts to admit, but the four-man pass rush just hasn't been good enough. Not last year, not the year before. And when you're constantly needing to blitz just to generate pressure, that's a problem, especially for a team that wants to stay in Super Bowl conversations. This offseason, the Chiefs know it. The front office knows it. And honestly, the fans know it too. Everything starts with Chris Jones. He's still the heartbeat of that defensive line, and alongside George Karlaftis, he's clearly the leader of the room going into 2026. Karlaftis just got extended, he's locked in, and he's part of the future. Jones, though, that's where the conversation gets uncomfortable. Chris Jones is turning 32, and yeah, I know, even with a slow start last season, once the bye week hit, he was back to looking like a top 5 defensive tackle in this league. You don't just replace that. Trading him would save cap space, sure, but the value just isn't there. A second-round pick and some extra asset? That doesn't come close to what he still brings on Sundays. Until there's real, obvious decline, moving on from Jones just feels like shooting yourself in the foot. Now, that doesn't mean everyone is safe. Mike Dana? That's a different story. He hasn't consistently generated pressure for 2 straight seasons, and cutting him would free up nearly $9 million. That's the kind of move teams in this cap situation have to make. You can find cheaper players who give you the same production, or lack of production, and that's just reality. Behind the starters, it's honestly thin. Omar Norman-Lott is coming off a torn ACL. Ashton Gillott hasn't shown enough yet. Felix Anudike-Uzomah? This offseason is huge for him. Former first-round pick, barely any flashes. Injuries piling up. If he doesn't show something soon, his roster spot is absolutely in danger. Then you look at the free agents. Charles Omenihu, Pennell, Nadi, Tillery, solid depth guys, but none of them are answers. The Chiefs need more than just familiar faces rotating in and out. They need juice. They need disruption. They need someone who actually scares quarterbacks again. Free agency isn't loaded either. Most of the available guys are older, past their prime, and that's not usually Brett Veach's style. If they make a move, it's probably someone versatile, someone who can slide inside and outside and just do the dirty work. Not flashy, just effective. And then there's the draft. This is where it gets really interesting. With a top 10 pick, this might be the cleanest chance the Chiefs have had in years to reset the defensive line the right way. Drafting a long-term pillar next to an aging Chris Jones makes too much sense. And honestly, using multiple picks on the defensive line this year wouldn't surprise me at all. Depth and talent are both missing right now. So this offseason, the message is pretty clear. The Chiefs are done patching the defensive line. They're looking at real changes, hard decisions, uncomfortable conversations, and a new direction up front. And here's where things get tense. Because while the Chiefs are trying to fix the trenches and figure out how to rebuild this defense the smart way, there's another conversation happening at the exact same time, one that involves cap space, draft picks, and a totally different side of the roster. And once you hear that part, the whole offseason picture starts to look a lot more complicated. What really caught my attention in today's news is how clearly it shows the lane the Chiefs are operating in right now. According to Bleacher Report, the Chiefs enter this offseason with negative cap space, about $54.6 million over the cap. That alone tells you everything. Kansas City is not in a position to just go shopping and throw money around. They're much closer to being sellers than buyers, and yet, there's still room for smart, targeted moves. That's where 2 names come into the picture. Jordan Addison and David Montgomery. Let's start with Jordan Addison. From a football standpoint, the fit is obvious. The Chiefs' receiver room has question marks all over it. Nobody knows for sure if Travis Kelce is coming back for another season. And while Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice both have upside, neither one has fully established himself as a true, dependable number one option yet. Addison would immediately raise the floor. He's young, already productive, and, this part really matters, he would only carry a $2.6 million cap hit this season. That's dirt cheap for a receiver with his talent. Now the off-field context matters too. Minnesota is likely heading into a front office reset with a new general manager, and Addison has had multiple legal issues, even though the most recent charge was dropped. That opens the door for the Vikings to consider moving on and letting him get a fresh start somewhere else. From the Chiefs' perspective, this is exactly the type of calculated risk Brett Veach likes to take. Low cap hit, high upside, cost-controlled asset. Would it solve everything? No. But it would give Mahomes another real weapon at a time when the offense needs answers. Now let's talk about David Montgomery, because this one hits differently. The Chiefs' running back situation has been a problem for a while now. When Mahomes is healthy, the offense can survive without an elite run game. But when things get tight, or when defenses drop deep, the lack of consistency on the ground shows up fast. Montgomery is not flashy. He's not a headline guy, but he's physical, reliable, and proven. And emotionally, as a fan, this is the type of player you trust in big moments. Short yardage, late game carries, protecting the quarterback. The interesting part is that Montgomery would also come via trade, not free agency, meaning the Chiefs could potentially add him without destroying the cap, especially if they're already planning to move out contracts and accumulate draft picks. And that's the key theme here. This report isn't saying the Chiefs are about to go all in on trades. It's saying that if they make moves, they'll be surgical. Jordan Addison represents upside at wide receiver without a massive financial commitment. David Montgomery represents stability at running back without betting the future. As a fan, I don't read this as desperation. I read this as controlled aggression. The Chiefs trying to stay competitive while cleaning up a very tight financial situation. On one side, the Chiefs are being forced to rethink the defensive line, aging contracts, declining pass rush, and the need to invest draft capital up front. That's about fixing the foundation of the team. On the other side, the Chiefs are exploring value-driven offensive upgrades. Players like Addison and Montgomery, who don't break the cap but could immediately help Mahomes when he's back. Taken together, this tells me one thing as a fan. This offseason is decisive. Kansas City isn't panicking, but they're also not pretending everything is fine. They're trimming where they have to, reshaping the trenches, and looking for smart ways to support the offense without compromising the future. Is the situation perfect? No. Is it scary? A little. But it also feels intentional. The Chiefs are choosing direction over comfort, and sometimes that's exactly what a team needs to reset the standard. As a fan, I see this moment as a crossroads, not a collapse. And the next few moves will tell us whether this is the start of another run, or a warning that tougher days are coming.